Hello there, and welcome to the Ace Space, the podcast where we are joined by the biggest names in the volleyball game. My name is Louis Letts, and I will be today's host on other occasions. It's going to be Dave Rogers, and we will always be joined by one of our volleyballing wizards, Matt Rogers or Daniel Meanley from the CV. Today we've got Matt back with us. Matt, how are you, mate? It's been a while since I've seen your face.
Yeah, it is. It is. These weeks are flying by, aren't they? We are, reducing what we're doing, but time seems to be going faster. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, these 2 months of lockdown have just gone past in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's good to see things starting up again.
And I'm loving where this podcast has been going and where it is going, because it's rotating between four of the world's biggest stars to kick off the Ace Space project. We're recording remotely due to this situation. So I'm in London. Matt, you're in Cornwall, is that correct?
Yep, Cornwall, southwest England, down by the sea, and now able to go in the sea as well, so that's nice.
Lovely. Great part of the world, Cornwall. And our guest potentially has never heard of Cornwall today, who's sat in Latvia. These episodes are going to alternate with our unscripted debate series, which come out on a Friday. Okay, Matt, are you ready to meet our guest? Because it's the first time that you've met this guest.
It is. I listened to the last episode, and she was great, so expecting big things.
Absolutely brilliant. So, as I said previously, one of the brightest young talents that we've got in beach volleyball and in volleyball as well. 20 FIVB top rookie, most improved team 2019 champions, first ever NCAA collegiate beach volleyball player to qualify for the Olympics. I personally like that one. 2016 under 22 European champion, a gold at the under 18s as well in 2015, and a third place in the under 17 World Championships in Mexico. 25 awards individually in the USA playing volleyball. It is Tina Graudina. Welcome back, Tina. How are you?
Hello. So nice to be back here with you.
How was your week, Tina?
Oh, I got to think which day is today, because I don't quite remember what I did yesterday even, but it's been going well. It's definitely, yeah, it's pretty good.
Right.
Tough time in lockdown. These days seem to all roll into, and they seem to roll very, very quickly as well. So our first episode was an absolute battle. We heard all about the European Championship victory and that epic win to qualify for the Olympics, that comeback against the Czech pairing. Today is all about the early days for you, Tina, and growing up in Latvia, learning to play volleyball, and just trying to find out more about your recipe to being so successful a little bit later on down the line. So how did it all start for you? What was that initial sort of attraction between you and volleyball that came together?
It all started with the fact that I was born in a family where my dad played volleyball and my mom was a track and field athlete when she was younger. So it definitely has impacted me as a personality so much. Simply the fact that my parents supported me in any athletic endeavors that I would head into. And even until I was 17 years old, I alternated between beach volleyball and track and field practices. At some points, I was even more of a track athlete rather than a volleyball player. And now looking back at it, it's probably one of the definite advantages that I have the track and field past in me.
What kind of events or distances did you do?
I was a heptathlete, so it's the 7 events, and yeah, it was quite a lot. I was not enjoying the long distance 800-meter run. That was the worst that I didn't want to do that I wanted to do the least. But my best one was high jump, and I guess that's where the blocking also comes from, just jumping up and down all the time.
Wow.
So were you one of these just young athletes that was into everything? Were you trying to combine your time, sort of athletics, volleyball, any other sports? So it was quite a busy childhood for you, right?
Yes, as far as I remember, every day after school, I had some practice to go to. Either it was swim, tennis. I did ballet when I was very very young, and then as I got older, I started getting more seriously into track and field and beach volleyball, and it's I've enjoyed all sports always, and yes, it happens to be that beach volleyball was the lucky one that I chose.
You must be able to turn your hand to most things then, sport-wise, because if you did the heptathlon, which is obviously multi events effectively, and then you've got beach volleyball where you have to do all the skills.
Yes,
You must be quite naturally athletic and gifted, I would say.
well, I thank you. I kind of agree to that. That's that's the one uh, gift from the nature that I have, and I catch on pretty quickly to like new physical things that I have to do with my body, and that helps me very much, right, even to this day, to learn new things on the court. And yeah, but I still would attribute all of that to track and field. I think it's the most important sport to have for any athlete. If any kid who wants to be successful in any type of sport, then I would advise him to go to track and field and just learn how to correctly run, learn how to jump more efficiently, and use all these little muscle groups that some people just don't know how to if they haven't gone to track and field.
You find what sort of skills have transferred from track and field to volleyball? Obviously, you spoke about blocking. Anything else biomechanically or anything else?
Yes, definitely.
Like
There's so many things. I would say also the mentality probably the most, because in track and field you experience a lot of unpleasant sensations. For example, when you just have to run until you just can't anymore, you feel like your body is burning, your legs are giving out, and you just still have to make it to the finish line. And in comparison, beach volleyball is not that hard. You very rarely push yourself to that kind of limits. So because I have this comparison in my head, I can always tell to myself this is not that bad, even if I feel tired on the court, because I have the experience from track and field. Also, the ability to maximize your performance in that single second or moment that you need to, because in track and field you have the attempt for high jump, and you have these 3 seconds where you have to do everything you've learned in practice, and you just have to learn how to put all of that work in those 3 seconds. And that helps in beach volleyball as well, because you have to perform all the time, and you just learn how to put the work that you've done beforehand in the actual game.
To make Louis and I feel better, and all the other listeners, are there any sports that you're not very good at?
Golf.
No.
I haven't tried a lot of sports, of course. I know one thing I really want to learn is how to. I can ice skate pretty quickly. My brother taught me how to do it, but I don't know how to break. You know, the hockey where go
on
over
the side.
side.
Yeah.
I can do only when I put my leg backwards and just gradually slow down. But that's something I've learned definitely.
Wow.
I just keep going until I hit the side, and
that also usually works. But
and the two that you did, track and field and beach volleyball, obviously predominantly summer. Was there anything you did during the winter, or did you do those but indoors and stuff?
Yeah, I did both in winter as well. We have good beach volleyball winter facilities, and track and field as well.
Wow. So was there ever that discussion between your mum and dad being like, I want her to play beach volleyball? Nope, I want her to be an athlete, or you are an athlete.
Yeah, we had the joke in our family that my dad was the director of the volleyball section, and my mom is the director of the track and field section. And but I think they realized pretty much earlier than myself that I'm going to end up in beach volleyball. But there were a lot of not fights, but like my coaches in both sports, they of course wanted me to stay in their sport, and there were some I felt very torn about where to choose, because I was very personally friendly with my coaches, and I didn't want to hurt them, because I saw how much my track and field coach puts energy in me. I literally saw how he was so excited for me to like grow up to be his athlete, to be his sport, like go into track and field. But that's why it was very hard for me to make the decision to go to beach volleyball.
You've qualified for an Olympic Games. Does that again suggest that it was a great decision? And do you think that you had the pedigree to go to an Olympics as an athlete?
No, yes, this is such a good question, because it brings back memories from my past, where I think a very important moment where I decided to go for beach volleyball is when I tried to qualify for the youth Olympic Games in both beach volleyball and athletics. And I was jumping high jump at that time, and I missed the mark for like 5-6 centimeters, which is a lot for high jump. But then in beach volleyball I got in, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I get to go to the youth Olympic Games. It was such an awesome event. It was insane. And yeah, that's probably the start where I realized, okay, I might be good in athletics, but the competition in athletics in the world, it's insane. In that sense, beach volleyball is not as competitive, and that's where, yeah, I could excel better.
How has your mum accepted that or come to terms with that? She clearly would have been kind of voting for athletics, but maybe she saw the possibilities in beach as well.
Yes, of course. She's my biggest fan right now, and she loves this sport, and she knows all the little details, even though she doesn't play herself that well. But yeah, there's of course there's no bad feelings about that.
It's a really cool story. But I'm really intrigued. I love that sort of like recipe and how you become one of the world's best. When did you get sort of put into the national team in Latvia for beach volleyball, and how does it sort of work in Latvia?
Yes, it works in the way that everything is pretty much self dependent on yourself and the coaches you have. We don't have a clear system of national teams, and I was fortunate enough to, there was, as far as I remember, in the past like 6-7 years, there's been only 1 year where we had like actual qualification for the national team, and I got into that year, and that's where I met my partner Nastya, and we got put together, and it has worked out perfectly. So it was kind of that was the start for the national team of Latvia for beach volleyball.
You sort of mentioned Anastasia, your partner. That was your first partner at international level as well. So that relationship's come a long way for a long time.
Yes, we started out living in the opposite sides of the country. She ended up moving to my side because this is where the beach is and where we train. But I've had a lot of different partners as well, and it's interesting how I've come back to playing with my first one, and it's kind of like it's like a good story.
Yeah, well, you mentioned previously that you guys almost parted ways at the start of 2019, which is
but yeah, it wasn't even the first time. We also parted ways, like after the first year we played together. That's when I got Paula Nechiporica, who I won the European gold with in under 18. So it's nothing new in that sense.
But that wouldn't be made by a coach in Latvia or a program. That would be personal decisions.
Yes. Our federation, it's not as strong as it's in Russia or Germany. Us players, we are the ones who make all the major decisions about our team and how we operate. I like that, but also not, because I would like to have more more guidance from federation, who would like this bigger body of governance saying this is how it will go, girls, and like you just have to deal with it. But of course I also like to be the one who decides who's going to be my coach, all the finances, all the traveling, all the physiotherapists. We do that all by ourselves.
We actually did an unscripted, I don't know whether you saw it, with your partner.
Yes.
We were calling it Anastasia, but what do you call her?
I call her Nastya. It's a thing, how Russians shorten the name Anastasia, but she likes Anastasia as well.
I'll stick with Anastasia. I think I'd be better at pronouncing that.
It's a nice name.
Yeah, no, she was brilliant. She was a little bit worried about her English. I mean, you may know this from traveling with her, but she was great. And she's the opposite to you, the exact opposite. She wasn't really into sports, discovered it late.
I know, it's so baffling how she ended up in beach volleyball and being this like I want to win person. That's crazy.
She's the first person in that whole series that basically said, I wasn't really into sports. I just kind of came across it and thought I'll give it a go, and then turned out to be a European champion.
Easy.
Just like that.
Yeah, you just have to decide to do it and nothing else.
Yeah, no, she was brilliant.
How big an influence have the boys or the men's program been on you? The likes of Yanis and Eggers and Martins and the Lion King, all of that program?
Well, I was 12. I was 14 years old when Martins Plavins and Janis Šmenić got the bronze medal in the London Olympic Games. I was still playing tennis, I think, even, and I was watching them on. Yeah, I was watching them on TV.
Where did this come from?
I was watching them on TV and like screaming that we got a medal. It was so amazing, and the fact that I'm now on the same tour with them and like get to eat lunch and dinner with them and like help them warm up to their games, that's insane. So I would say they've been a pretty big influence, but at the same time we're starting to also recognize the differences in the men's and women's sport, and we're slowly like seeing how our way might be different from their way.
So you were 14 then. What was your commitment at that time to beach volleyball? You were obviously playing for fun, I assume.
Yeah, for fun with my dad in the garden. At that moment, I think it was the first year when I started going to practice twice a week. So twice a week beach volleyball after school.
Yeah. Wow.
It's an interesting story of how it's gradually become more and more part of life as you're growing up, and maybe that had a big effect on the way that you sort of perceived the sport and what you could achieve.
Definitely, because their achievements was the starting of the so after they won the medal, all the first indoor facility was built in Riga for us to play beach volleyball during winter. So that's obviously a huge thing, because otherwise you can't really do it seriously in this weather. And that's the facility where I started to train.
Amazing. Yeah, you spoke about the differences between the men's and the women's. What would be something you've sort of figured out over the past couple of years about how the games may be different?
Yes, we for our guys, they don't necessarily go into a game with a solid game plan. they I don't know if it's like that for all the guy teams, but or Latvian guys, they just they know what they can do, and they will just go with the flow a little bit more in the game, figure out as they go. But for us, me and Nastya, we realized that we tried it out this year. We tried to have a solid plan for every single game, and it worked very well. Our current coach, Andris, he helped us with the plans, with the tactics, and that's a big difference that I see right now from us to them, that they don't really do that, and we've started to do that. Maybe they should also do it. Maybe they would get better. I don't know. I should talk with them about this maybe.
You've got the Vikings much figure things out as they go. They have their clear sort of structure to how they want to read the game and play that way. You have teams like yourselves who are like playing angles and playing certain ways to try and make stops. Yeah, I find this one of the most intriguing things about the game is those teams who are more structured, or those teams who are making more reads and trying to go with the flow of the game.
How would you play it, Louis, if you were a pro athlete? What would you want your approach to be?
I would like to start with a bit of a loose structure, to serve certain areas and take certain areas of court with my defense, combining serving and block defense together. But I'd like to think that I have the tools in my head to change them if I needed to, change those reads and timing stuff. But I'm still figuring out the right answer. Like, yeah, I don't have it, I don't think. But yeah, that's how I see it.
I guess with weather and things like that, you've also got to be able to adapt your plans, haven't you? There's kind of plan A, and then there's always plan B and C.
Of course. And our coach, our previous coach, Gennady Samoilovs, he would say, why should we make plans? Let other teams try to analyze yourselves. Let's just focus on us playing our best game we can. And that's why we didn't have any game plan last year when we were with him. And it of course, it's a good thing to just focus on yourselves. That's what probably will get you to win the game. But sometimes for us, we had to lose the first set because we were still trying to figure out the correct approach, how to play against the team. And then we would go to a 3-setter. And of course, that's more risky than just taking it into.
More fun for us, though.
No, yeah.
Always a fan of a third set.
Yeah, I think our team is definitely taking care of the spectators. We're always trying to spice it up a little bit with a few
very kind.
Missed horrible serves or sets, you know.
I have a quick question. If you were to play the Olympic final, would you rather win 2-0 or 2-1?
Oh, I would rather to win 2-1.
Yeah. It's as long as you guarantee the winning bit.
Of course, always, yes. Yeah.
I'd be like, I want to get this done.
If I would lose in the Olympic final, I would prefer to lose 2-0 rather than 2-1.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Coach Samoilovs a minute ago. How big an influence has he been on Latvian beach volleyball throughout the past years? And he was obviously working with you up to this season as well.
Yes, he's like a legend here. He's one of the very, very few people who've actually started playing beach volleyball in general in this country for the first time. And he has developed this very unique approach to how to play beach volleyball. The first practices, when you go to him, he says, okay, let's start from 0. Show me how you would run after a ball. And then of course everyone does it wrong in his eyes, and he's like, all right, I'll teach you how you have to run. And he shows the steps, you have to. He always wants us to be anywhere in the court with only 2 steps, which sounds insane, but actually you can, it's possible to do. And it's only one example of all the little technical details that he has figured out for himself through experience, how to maximize movement on court. So he's a specialist in that sense, definitely. But yes, we had also another coach, Aigars Birzulis, who was my first serious coach, and they were the two leaders of beach volleyball in Latvia that developed everything from 0 to this, actually, to what we've come to now.
We heard from the Lion King that Coach Samoilovs is quite a tough taskmaster. That he's quite passionate, and he's a tough trainer. He said military style trainings. Is that correct? Yes, military style all the way. That's his go-to thing, how to communicate with people. And Alexander Samoilovs, he's gotten the worst of it, actually, being his son and training with him all of his life. I've been with some coach only 3 years. And a lot of people say he's gotten much calmer in the past years, and maybe the fact that we're girls also impacts how he treats us. But yes, he's very just don't make mistakes. I don't care what you do, just don't make a mistake on the court. And of course it works if you're able to not make mistakes, but that's not the case always. Yeah, there's I always remember something. Hugh McCutcheon wrote something that I read. There was there's no such thing as the perfect game. So yeah, it's sort of the two different ways of looking at it. But what he has done is he's built an unbelievable program from Latvia from nothing to Latvia are now one of the best beach volleyballing countries in the world.
Yes, and
Amazing to think like that.
it is, and it's his accomplishment. In that sense, the federation hasn't like contributed that much to making a system or like building the pyramid of beach volleyball in Latvia. It's been Samoilos and Aigars Birzos together.
How would you describe the status of beach volleyball in Latvia? Because obviously on the world stage, within the beach volleyball world, we know
Yes.
Latvia, we know all the athletes. But in Latvia itself, how big is beach volleyball?
In Latvia, it's very big. It's very popular. We have a lot of fans, but I'll be a little bit of critical on our system here in Latvia, and I will say that it's like with a shiny top, but inside is quite empty, in the sense that everything is built upon enthusiasm and self motivation, and actually luck as well, because the coaches, they don't have any salary from the federation. They, in that sense, are unemployed. They don't have a job. All they earn is from their players, and it's all very a very natural, like primitive state of like development. Yet there's a lot of things to improve in our system here.
So like the success has kind of gone faster than the actual evolution of the sport in the country. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we're a little bit worried. Like me and Nastya, we're still considered as a young team, and we still have a lot of years to play, but we don't see any serious teams behind us that could follow us, and the same goes for guys. So a lot of people are asking who's going to play after the guys finish their career, but we hope definitely somebody will show up.
That's it's quite sad in some ways, but it's very, on a smaller scale, it's the same. You mentioned UK earlier, but it's built on enthusiasm and volunteers, and it means that you might have one team go on to do something successful, but nobody can put so much blood, sweat and tears into one team and then do it for everybody else. It's that the workload is too much. It's fascinating. But I think Latvia I think something will happen for you guys.
Well, yes, I think so too.
Next summer.
Could be.
It's
a nice year. Feel like things will
another
happen.
year to think about it. Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. You said in 2012 you made that step from sort of like you were training twice a week beach volleyball. Is that right?
I started training twice a week. I've been training twice a week till I was 16 years old. That's the most I ever trained in beach volleyball. And when I was 16, my family moved to Brussels. I got to live there for 1 year, and that's where I didn't play volleyball at all. I was only an athlete. I got to train with an amazing coach who's the coach of the Olympic gold medalist Tia Hellebout from Belgium. She was an amazing high jumper and a heptathlete. So I got to experience the feeling of training with like the highest level coach in athletics. And then I went back to Latvia and started training for volleyball.
How does that fit though? Because in 2014 you came third in the World Championships in Mexico.
2014?
That 2014?
That was third in Mexico. Well, yeah. Maybe I have like a year or two off from the timeline, but I was in Brussels not playing volleyball at all after I got the world third place.
Still, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't a question of your timeline. It was just like, that's a crazy good result to go to. I think it was Acapulco, take a third place.
Yes, we were lucky that
twice a week, like Yeah, sort of training, doing athletics as well, and then you take a third place at a World Championships.
I, and I'm saying that's all because of the athletics. Like at that level, at that young of an age, it actually, you might not play as well, but what matters is if you run fast and jump high. At that age, I could win a lot with just my physicality. Of course, now I need the skills as well, so I'm working on them. But about Acapulco, we were very lucky that Duda, Brazil, they didn't send a team, so
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. You can look at those things, but also look at it from the more positive side. Like that's an amazing achievement.
Yeah.
You can only beat who's in front of you. So,
Yes. What's very interesting is that in the pictures where I'm standing on the podium with my amazing partner, um, uh, on the first and second place are my current teammates in USC. So that's the place where we actually met for the first time, not even knowing that at some point we'll play together in the same university.
I think there was one person there who thought you would all play together at the same place.
The coach
Yeah, and
for
it
the
probably
US.
followed you, right? Yeah, I think that was good scouting from.
Oh, yeah. Good job from her side.
and that is obviously the topic of our third episode coming up in a few weeks. So
Yeah.
we'll go
So
more into
listen
that
up.
then. Yeah.
Tune in.
Started on the podium.
How you spoke about you being athletic. I love that. So many people who value ball control at a young age and ball control. But
Yeah.
actually, the way that you've come through is perfect. Like athletically outstanding, and you've caught up on the ball control.
Yes, I don't think it's the correct approach. If I would have kids right now, I would hold off to them playing a lot of volleyball for as long as I can, and just make them explore their own body in the sense of different sports, because every other sport has like things to learn from. And the ball control thing, it's so specified, it's so specific that it's not necessary for young kids who just need to learn how to like be athletes. Like the ball control is not going to get you that far.
No, I agree completely, and that's why it stands sort of like that comment stands out to me for anybody who's watching and listening. Like you can spend all sort of your whole life correcting little passing techniques and little setting. It's never going to quite be perfect, but that athleticism and
But of course it also is the other way around, because I know that a lot of coaches have come up to me and from other countries, from other teams, and saying, Tina, you're approaching the ball with the wrong leg, or that I'm not holding my platform correctly, and that is a minus for me. I probably, if I would have better technique, I of course would improve a little bit, but the way that I see it is that it's maybe not as big of a thing as if I just wouldn't be as physical as I am.
that's why we love sport, right? There's all these different ways of doing stuff, and
Different approach to everything. There's no right answer.
Yeah, there is no right answer. It's great. After that third at the World Champs, so you take that third, you take some time off in Brussels. Are you still thinking about beach volleyball, or are you thinking about turning back to athletics?
Yes, I'm thinking about beach volleyball because I knew that I will come back to Latvia after that year, and if I would be able to stay with the amazing coach in Brussels, that would be a whole different thing, because there weren't that many opportunities to even play beach volleyball there. But in Latvia, it was the other way around, that I had the more opportunities and nicer environment in beach volleyball than in athletics.
Perfect, because you won the under-18s that next year.
Yes, and they were organized in Riga.
Like this is getting serious. This is getting. I could be
Yes,
seriously good at this.
yes, that was so nice, such a highlight to do it in front. That was the first tournament, international tournament that I did in my home in Latvia, and as a 17-year-old girl, looking back, I dealt with the pressure pretty good, actually.
Yeah, we spoke about pressure, didn't we, in the last one, and how you're trying to find that that optimal state of mind and calmness. Did you feel it then?
I don't remember. That's too long ago.
Perfect. And then you go and win the under-22s as well.
Yes, that was a surprise because
You were 2 years under the age group, correct?
yes, I was 18, so 3 years for me and 2 years for my partner, and it also was like the second tournament we played together since I was playing with Paula Nechiporka before, and also it feels like if nobody expects anything from us, we do good.
Wow, I like that. But now everyone's expecting.
Yeah, that's the problem now. Now we actually gotta show that we're doing something correct.
Rubbish. Don't believe that for a second. You're going to keep crushing it for a long time yet. You also beat Poland in that final, which is great because it was almost like you beat Poland again in the senior finals in Moscow.
And you know what's interesting? Kotioleka is the same player. She was in both finals. She just switched partners. So it's an amazing, accomplishment for the three of us, me, Nastya, and Kasia, because we both got to the finals.
It just shows how quickly how fast, in my opinion, how fast the game is moving forward when the finalists from under-22s, same in the men's competition, are fast forwarding into the senior finals within like no time really at all.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember
just a
that
few years.
I remember that in the same under-22 that we're talking about, under small was standing on the first place as well.
Yeah,
With us.
I think it was with Christian's brother Alex.
Brother,
right? Yeah,
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, they won that under-22s that year, and now look like, yeah, Alex Sorum's also a great volleyball player. He's also another one who's very, very good. How's your success gone down in Latvia? Like, do you feel there's lots of media attention now? You were saying in the previous episode about Coach Samoilov saying you're either in the media or you're playing volleyball. There is no middle ground of the two.
Yeah.
But do you feel like now there's sort of like a fame about yourself and your partner?
A little bit, because it is a small country. So if somebody does something good, it's big news, and I definitely don't see myself getting as much attention as if I would be in the US, for example, as I am here. But yes, it's a few sports things on the TV that we appear on. It's a few interviews, a few radio stations, and I feel like people who follow sport, they know our names and what we have done this year. But of course, there's a lot of people who don't know about us as well.
Do you enjoy the media side of things?
Yes, it's a interesting relationship. It's like, I, of course, as every person, like from my egoistical part of me, I enjoy the attention that people give me, and that I can like share with what I've done in my life. But on the other hand, as I said previously in the other episode, I get very nervous when I see the results of the interview or the journal where I am, and I can't really read what I've said to them or listen to myself.
Very good.
Yeah, certainly from our side. Obviously English isn't nearly perfect, and it's great for us to have players doing it.
Yeah, my dad has trained me a lot because he's in politics, and he's very very knowledgeable about media and PR. So yeah, he's taught me a lot as well.
What's the strangest thing you've had to do for media? Is there anything bizarre that they've asked you to do, or?
There probably is something. Nothing comes to my mind right now. So I'll come back to it if I remember.
And what was the reaction after, I guess, becoming a European champion and qualifying for the Olympics? There must have been like a week or two of fairly active media work then.
Yes, like 3 days after European Championships, we went back home, and we did all the interviews, all the all the events we had to appear on, and it was pretty intense. But we were in such a euphorical state of mind that we didn't mind anything. We got to wear like beautiful dresses and appear everywhere as like not in the athletic wear, so it was very nice to like enjoy that more glamorous side of being an athlete. And after Olympic Games in Hanyang, it was just, I don't think people were kind of even not as surprised about it, because they were like, of course you won the European Championships, why wouldn't you go to the Olympic Games, you're the best in this continent. But if we explain to them that it's actually the points, the rating system and everything, then most people don't know that, and that's why they weren't as surprised about us winning, getting the ticket.
Phenomenal achievements. Just quickly before we go into our features, what do you think you would be if you wasn't concentrating on beach volleyball? And what are you studying?
Yes, I'm studying politics, political science.
I could have guessed that one. Thought we could have got that one out.
Yes, I enjoy that very much. It's a lot of studying about history, about social problems, stuff like that. I find, as all beach volleyball players should be, I find that I'm very interested in environmental problems and challenges, of course. But I know that my best friend, she studies in Scotland in the University of Edinburgh, and I've went and visited her there and some other times as well, and I absolutely love that place. It's so amazing. If I wouldn't play volleyball, I would definitely try to like be there and study there and like live there for a while, because I think it's so cool and so magical, and it's like all Harry Potter and everything, and I would definitely try to find something to do there. I would study.
I've actually never been. That's a very
you
bad.
haven't? Oh, it's beautiful up there.
It's so good. All the people there, they're so different. You can feel the vibe in them, that it's like a little bit edgy, a little bit like rebellious a little bit.
That's now top of my list. I don't know how much we're going to be able to travel over the next few months, so that's definitely something that's to get myself up to Edinburgh. Right, Mr. Rogers.
Shall we move on to our feature?
I think it's time for the features again. If you remember from the previous episode, Tina. Matt, take it away.
We're going to move on to your perfect player. So we've given you a bit of warning about this. I don't know if you've had time to think about it. Essentially, what we're looking to do is build the ultimate beach volleyball player. The kind of person that they could be blocker, defender, whatever you wanted system-wise. They could do everything. And what we ask for you to do is to come up with some criteria. So athleticism, I assume, would be one of yours. And then you say a player who you think that criteria is kind of like, I would take that criteria from that person. And it's up to you whether you're in this or not. You can include yourself or not. That is up to you. And we usually ask for 5 or 6 criteria. So what have you come up with?
All right, I'm ready. So I gave this quite a thought yesterday, and it was of course very difficult to figure this out, because every player is like, for obvious reason, in the FIVB World Tour. But I would start with the serve, and for my perfect player I would choose the Swiss type of serving. I feel like they have a very united view on how to serve, the serving mentality. So I'll choose Huberli. She had an amazing serve, especially against me, and I've enjoyed I've been able to enjoy their strong serving. I would choose for blocking, I would choose Clancy from Australia. And because together with her overall athleticism and movement on the court, she would be for the perfect player, it would be the perfect ability to have and make the player very hard to play against. I would choose Anastasia Kravchenko, my partner, as the perfect setter. And I think she has such a nice handset, and she's so confident in that, and she always performs perfectly. And I would think that the perfect player would have a set similar to hers. I will choose also April Ross for her fighting mentality, for the emotions on the court. And I think the way she approaches the game and the way how she's able to turn around a few points in her advantage only because of her, I don't know how to even call it, her just aura, her atmosphere on the court. So that's something that the perfect player would definitely need as well. And finally, for defense, this was so hard. I think Laurel Ludwig is the obvious choice. She's amazing. And as a blocker, I would feel so sure to play with knowing that she has my back behind me on the court. But I would actually also choose Sveta Holomina from Russia. She's my age, but I think she is also phenomenal, and maybe doesn't get as much as recognition in this part because I've seen her play a lot of matches growing up together with her, and she is really good defender as well. So the perfect player would consist of these abilities from all these players and make the unbeatable woman on tour.
And is there anything? Sorry, Lou.
Put some serious thought into that. There's some very good options.
That's brilliantly studied and a brilliant player for sure. What from yourself do you think you could add to that? Because I'm thinking the athleticism. Is there anything else that you think you could bring to that player to give them another edge?
I think, well, the athleticism, yes, but I don't have one thing where I excel at. I think I'm a good player overall. There I have a lot of things to improve in like specific areas.
Yeah, no, well, thank you for doing that. Fantastic. I do love these perfect players, and we're going to put it out on Instagram at some point and use some of the stars that have done the perfect player as examples. So we may well do that.
Matt, that's all we've got time for. Tina, that's all we've got time for this.
Too bad.
It's been really fascinating to hear about your journey and playing all these different sports and how they've sort of led you on this journey of beach volleyball and to a real big success at a young age. It's really, it's been really intriguing for us to listen to. So thank you very much. I can't wait for the next one, which is on the NCAA. So your route through the collegiate system that hasn't come to an end yet, but I think the volleyballing world to know that you're in a unique situation of playing volleyball in Southern California, and I think it's a great conversation that we're going to have. So
exactly. Yes.
Very excited. Matt, thank you very much for your time, wisdom, and knowledge, and features, and everything down here in Cornwall. And I think we got you for the next one as well. You have. I love the States, and in particular California. So super excited. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Make sure that you guys subscribe. Keep telling your friends. The more that you tell, the more listeners we're going to get and the more great guests that we can bring onto the show. Please just send us in your questions as well. So make sure that you comment. If you can send us messages, you can email us. Use the hashtag #LetVolleyballTalk. And then for myself, Louis Let, the A Space and the CV. Thank you very much for your support, for listening. And we look forward to having you along next time.